Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're out here with the ducks today, and we're going to start talking about how to look after your ducks and a little bit about why ducks are so good to have on your farm. And everyone is currently in the gazebo because I'm not sure these ducks like me. They like Tristan. They don't really like me. So they're in the gazebo hiding from me because, they're ducks. And ducks have a mind all their own. So let's start talking about why you might want ducks on your hobby farm. It is true that ducks are not as popular as chickens. Let's just get this out of the way. We'll see a little bit better. But it's true that ducks are absolutely not as popular as chickens on the farm. Their eggs are not as popular. Their meat is not as popular. They're just not as popular on hobby farms. That's true. That's mostly down to familiarity, honestly. People are not as familiar with ducks as they are with chickens. They're far more familiar with having chicken for dinner or having chicken eggs in their breakfast. So because they're not as familiar to us, we don't always think about them when we're picking animals for our hobby farm. But they are definitely an asset. Their babies are adorable, the adults are beautiful, and they really are an asset to your hobby farm. They are fun to have, easy to look after, and they're just a delight, really. So what are some of the pros of having ducks? Well, one of the pros is they're incredibly hardy. They tolerate heat and cold really, really well. Okay? So it is really easy to house them, really easy to accommodate them because they can handle hot temperatures really well. Start up a sprinkler, they'll be happy as clams, and they handle even the coldest winters really well. We get 40 below here, and people have their ducks in unheated shelters all the time. So definitely consider ducks for your hobby farm for that reason. They're also efficient foragers, and if they are allowed to free range, they can almost feed themselves. They are really good at eating all the different weeds, all the different plants that you don't necessarily want on your farm, and a lot of other animals won't eat those particular plants, but ducks often will. So they're really good for that reason. Ducks are also incredibly healthy creatures. They are seldom ill. Well-kept ducks, well-looked after ducks, ducks that have the space to be ducks, generally are totally fine health-wise. Now, there are exceptions to that. You will have a few illnesses that do affect ducks, a few parasites, but for the most part, ducks are incredibly healthy creatures. They're also really adaptable. They adapt to many different climates and many different housing situations really, really easily. They can put up with almost anything. As long as the house is decent, as long as they can get out of the cold, they're fine. As long as they can stay out of that wind, they're generally fine. They can adapt to pretty much anything. They require very minimal, very basic care. And they are really good for pest control. They eat a lot of weeds. And they fertilize your yard just by being ducks. Duck poop is quite good for your lawn. And as gross as it sometimes is, it actually encourages the growth of plants of all types. So it's a really good thing to have in that regard. Also, they're really good for meat. Their eggs are delightful, especially for baking. I prefer duck eggs for baking when I'm making my breads and my cookies and my cakes. Duck eggs do go better. And they also produce their feathers. You can use their down to stuff your pillows. You can use their longer feathers as a decorative thing, for decorative things, or for fishing lures. They're really good for that. So their feathers, their meat, their eggs, and they're also really good companions. They're generally really sweet animals. Okay, these ones don't particularly like me. They like Tristan. But they're generally very sweet animals. So they're easy to care for. They're nice animals. They're really good companions. They really bond to people quite well. There goes a turkey. So with all of those things, they're really, really good for your farm. But there are a few cons that you need to be aware of. First of all, they love water a little too much. So everyone knows ducks like water. That duck takes to water. That's the saying for a reason. Ducks love water. They will get into any water you have. They will get into their watering dishes. But beyond watering dishes, They will get into your ponds. They will get into your pools. They will go into your ditches. Anywhere there is water, they are going to be, because they love water. So if you want to keep your pool pristine, you've got to keep your ducks away from it, because they will go in there and they'll poop in there. And it's gross. So if you have a pool and no way to keep your ducks out of that pool, you might want to think again before you get ducks, or definitely come up with a way to secure that pool so the ducks don't end up in there, because that's not fun. They're messy as heck. Okay? Ducks are messy. Okay? It happens. They make a mess everywhere. Their poop is gross. They splash water absolutely everywhere. Ducks are one of the messiest creatures, them and geese, to have on your farm. Okay? That doesn't mean they're not good on your farm. It means they're messy as heck. They are also kind of smelly. Their poop really does smell. Now, the smell can be kind of toned down if you let them free range more, so they have more space. The more space they have, the less smelly they are, the less messy you will think they are, because they have the ability to move around and everything's not ending up in one spot. But generally, yeah, they can be pretty messy, pretty smelly. There's also a lot of variation in personality, which sounds like a good thing. And it is a good thing, because we love the variation in personality. But that can become difficult if you want a companion duck, for example. Because even among the same breed, so these are Cayugas, except for the one that's definitely a crossbreed. The rest of them are Cayugas. They're generally a pleasant, easygoing bird. And that guy has nice black on blue and green on his wing. That's really cool. But these guys, they're generally easygoing, but traits for personality do not hold true across breeds sometimes through the breed. So you could get a Cayuga that's a jerk. So even though it's great that there is so much variation in personality, it's also really difficult then to sometimes decide this is the breed I want because this is their personality. Because though, yes, that is common among the breed, unlike chickens, they do tend to vary a lot, even if in the same breed. So that can make picking your ducks a little more difficult, because it doesn't always matter what breed you get in regards to personality. So definitely you're going to want to pick your ducks individually and not necessarily based on breed, unless you are only interested in the one breed. They also need more space than your standard chickens to be happy and healthy. They do. They just do. They are messy. They are smelly. They like to free range. They like to move around. So because that's the way they are, they need the space to be able to do that. Okay, they absolutely have to be able to meet their own needs, and they can't do that locked up all the time. So these guys are locked up right now, mostly because it's about to rain, and I don't want to round them up in the rain, so we already rounded them up. It's gonna pour. So we just didn't want to chase them in the rain. But generally, they do a lot of wandering around the yards and stuff just because it's really good for them. And they really do need the ability. I'm not saying they have to free range all the time. I'm saying they need more space to be happy and healthy than chickens do. Okay, they do need a little bit more area in their coops and their runs if you are going to have them in coops and runs. If you're not going to free range, you're going to have to take into account that they need a lot of extra space, more than your chickens. But with all of that, they are still an excellent addition to your hobby farm. They're fun to have, easy to have, and they are really excellent birds. We are really happy with ours. Most duck keepers I know are really happy with their ducks. They're not for everybody. If you don't like the messy and the smelly, you might want to skip them, because they are the messy and smelly guys of the poultry world. They're kind of gross that way. But if you can handle the mess and the smell, they might just be the bird for you. They're a lot of fun to have, and they're really easygoing. And we frankly enjoy them a lot because they are really perfect for our hobby farm. They might be perfect for yours. So take a look, see if you like ducks, maybe consider adding them to your hobby farm. That's about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. See you tomorrow.